pretty easy to do yourself as... Hi, welcome back to my channel, Accidental Beauty. If you guys are new, welcome. My name is Laura. I post videos once a week, mainly about makeup and sometimes about hair, fashion, lifestyle, beauty, skincare, all that good stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button so you get updates whenever I upload a new video. I've got links for all my social media accounts, affiliate links, and discount codes in the description box below. So I would really appreciate it if you guys could follow me there, check those out, use them as needed. That would be awesome. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do your own brows at home. This is specifically a tutorial for thicker, fuller brows and how to maintain them, how to shape them. But this works if you have sparser or thinner brows as well, and you're just looking for tips and tricks on how to pluck your own brows at home. You know, this video is also for you, but mainly because I haven't been able to find a whole lot of tutorials for fuller brows. It's a lot of thinner brows or like very, very thick brows. So my brows aren't super thick naturally, but they're pretty thick. My hair grows fairly low on my brow bone, I guess, and then it also grows kind of out towards my temples. So I haven't seen a whole lot of tutorials specifically for brows like mine, so I figured I would make one. So if you want to see how I did my brows at home, then please keep on watching. This is also a request from, I can't remember their username, but I did have a comment on one of my videos where I mentioned I might be doing a tutorial on how to do my own brows. So this person commented, so thank you so much for your comment. Here's the video. This is a very quick tutorial. I cleaned up my brows in about a half hour, so really not that much time. As long as you map out where you want to go, this shouldn't take you too long to do, because you're just kind of following the space that you're mapping out. And for those of you who might comment, why aren't you waxing? I'm not a big fan of waxing. I had a bit of a traumatic experience, which I talk about in my body hair video. So if you want to hear that story, you can watch that video. But I'm not the biggest fan of waxing. A, B, I don't have any wax on me. And typically I do my brows with tweezers. I just find I have more control, I guess because I'm used to only doing my brows with tweezers. So even though it's a little bit more time consuming and maybe a little bit more painful because you're plucking out each individual hair, it doesn't really bother me. I've kind of gotten used to it and I like the ability to control like exactly which hairs I'm plucking out. So let's just move on to the tutorial portion. So I'm going to start off by taking a spoolie. Anyone will do. This one is from the e.l.f. brow pencil, and I'm just going to brush through my brows. Basically, I just want them to kind of lay flat like they would quote unquote like normally do. I don't have any fancy equipment. This might seem counterintuitive, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in my brows. Like I might not fill them in completely, but I'll kind of fill in the shape or like outline the shape that I want. And then I'm going to pluck away everything that is kind of outside those lines because I don't have a stencil, so this is kind of the best that I have. So I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Taupe, and I'm just going to use a small angled brush. So pretty much what I'm focusing on is I want to keep a nice sharp arch. I've got a stronger arch on this eyebrow. And then I've got a lot of hair growing underneath, kind of like where I want my brows to stop. So all of that I'm going to attempt to remove. So the tail of the eyebrow, I've got a lot of hair there, but it's not a super defined shape the way that kind of the front half of my eyebrows are. So that's going to be trickier for me. What often ends up happening is I end up removing too much hair or I don't remove enough hair. So either it has that kind of overgrown shape or overgrown or like less defined shape, or I just end up removing all the hair there and then I just have to draw in the tail, which is fine. But right now I'm not the biggest fan of the fluffy eyebrow trend, but I like having the option of doing a more natural brow or doing a more dramatic Instagram brow. Right now, I'm just trying to keep as much of my eyebrows, I guess, as possible. Because I do like them fuller, just not too full that the eyebrow hairs start getting in the way of my makeup looks, which is what's starting to happen. This eyebrow is a little bit sparser, which makes filling it in easier because I can kind of control the shape, but then it's harder because I'm trying to match it to the fuller eyebrow. So that's about as filled in as I'm going to leave them. I've done this many times. I've had a lot of experience to try a bunch of different things, and through trial and error, I am going to clean up my brows using concealer, which sounds counterintuitive, but I want to really get that defined shape so that I don't pluck any hairs that I actually want to keep. Unfortunately, because my concealer is very thick, that means it's going to be a bit harder to try and find the hairs that I want to remove. So I'm going to see if I can put down like a thinner layer than I usually do. Just use like a very small amount on a teeny tiny angled brush. So now it gets a little tricky because my eyebrow hairs are also pretty long. So I really don't want to remove hairs that I want to actually keep. I'm going to bring the spoolie back and just start brushing these hairs up so that they're out of the way. And then everything below the line is going to be covered in concealer and then removed. So everything that I want gone, I'm going to brush it down, and everything that I want to keep, I'm brushing up. And I'm hoping, that I can create a very distinct line. You see that I've got like this, almost looks like a bald spot just because of how I'm brushing my eyebrow hairs. And I'm trying to make it as easy for myself as possible so I don't have any mishaps. And now I'm focusing the concealer pretty much on that border of where I want my eyebrows to stop. Okay, and that looks good. I'm not focusing on concealing the hairs. I just want a very defined border so that when I go in with the tweezers, it will be a lot easier to see that demarcation and know where to stop. Again, this side is sparser, so it's a little bit easier to see where to stop. Now the challenging part. So I'm going to take my tweezers, and you can really use any tweezers. I personally like to use ones with a flat edge. I don't know if you can really tell, but these are flat rather than angled. I personally find it harder to control the tweezers and control like down to the very hair that you're plucking and make sure that you're getting it out from the root when I use angled ones. So I prefer small, flat-edged tweezers, but use whatever you prefer. Okay, and now we begin. This brings me back to the first time I ever plucked my eyebrows like to a specific shape when I was in grade 9. So I've always had very thick eyebrows. Never was that self-conscious about it until I started high school. And for whatever reason, a lot of the girls in my grade just had very thin eyebrows. Granted, it was the style at the time, but still, I don't think they were just very hairy in their eyebrow area. And I started to get very insecure about my eyebrows, so one day I just plucked them all off. Oh my god, there's so much hair. cut all that hair. Now the hairs on top of my eyebrow, I didn't cover them with concealer because there aren't too many, and they're pretty easy to see, so I can just pluck them out, no problem. And because I created that defined shape already with Dip Brow, it's pretty easy to see the strays. It's just most of my hair grows underneath, so that I just wanted to make sure that I concealed out the areas that I want to remove, because it grows more densely down there. I don't really know what I want to do with the hair that's like right in here. You know what, maybe I'll just remove this small one. There we go. It's like, it's growing very closely here, but I don't know if I really want to remove it. I feel like if I do remove it, then my eyebrows will kind of grow a bit too far in. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is. If you're not used to working with tweezers, just make sure to give them a wipe every now and then. You can just use your fingers, but just make sure that there isn't any hair or skin or too much of that caught in between the tongs, because the more buildup that you have, the harder it'll be to get accurate, especially when you're working in like a really small area. You want to be really precise and make sure that you're getting the exact hair that you want and you're not plucking out any other ones that you don't want. And if you have a lot of hair sticking out of your tweezers, then you might confuse it with other hair and it'll just obscure your working area. Some of these extra ones are lighter colored than the rest of my brow hair, so it's a little hard to see. While I'm here, I'm also plucking just some of the hairs on the side of my hairline, because the hair kind of grows pretty low around my temples and it can sometimes get in the way of my foundation application. I think that looks okay. I'm gonna wash these off and we're gonna take a look and see what my actual brows look like, so just give me a second to do that. All right, so I'm back. Here is what my actual brows look like. Okay, so now that I've washed off the Dip Brow and concealer, I can see that I've missed a few spots, so I'll just clean up. That's about as much as I feel comfortable doing. As you can see, I kind of plucked a little bit too much over here. I've got a little bit of a bald spot in comparison to this brow, which in general was fuller when I started. It's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you have some accidental bald spots or things like that. Hair grows back. It's totally fine. You're probably going to be filling in your eyebrows anyways, so, or even if you weren't planning to, you could take like a brow pencil or something like that, just add some hair-like strokes just to cover that area if you're not planning on fully filling in your brows. I think these look pretty good, considering I'm not a professional and I haven't actually cleaned up my brows in a while. I think they look decently even considering I wasn't starting with even eyebrows to begin with. This one always seems to grow a little bit sparser than this one. But all things considered, I'm happy with the way that this turned out. I really wish my arches were a bit more defined, but I can always amp those up when I'm filling in my brows, so really not a big deal. I'm tempted to just leave the brows as they are, and I'll just fill in this one to kind of match this one. I'm really, really happy with the way that this turned out. Pretty easy to do yourself at home. Just take the precautions that I mentioned. So I hope this video was helpful if you guys are doing your brows yourself at home. I just wanted to mention that you don't have to do your brows like this. You don't have to pluck and maintain your brows at all. It's totally a personal choice. I just found for me, like I was growing them out for the first time probably since I was about 13, 14, and I didn't really have a problem with it except for the fact that the hair down here in particular was really getting in the way of me doing makeup looks, especially when it came to blending out eyeshadow. And I had to cover it up with concealer, and then just having so much concealer there interferes with blending. So I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna clean up my brows to the way that I typically wear them, just so there's a decent amount of space that I can blend out my eyeshadow without worrying about things sticking and just skipping and all of that. I want my eyeshadow looks to look nice. Let me know in the comments section below if you have any questions or comments, and I'll see you in my next video.